Hello. Oh my gosh, we are live at Meet Magento, Florida. So fun and exciting. I just got out of an amazing keynote session, and I am joined by the amazing Antoinette Quapatera. Did I do it? Did I get it? Oh my gosh, I was so worried I was going to botch her beautiful last name. It's so gorgeous. So Antoinette, it's so nice to meet you. Antoinette came to our B2B workshop yesterday, and we got to connect last night at the Women in E-commerce event. And she was just on fire, telling all these great reasons why women should come and join the e-commerce world. And I was like, we need to get you on the show. We need to get you talking about this. So Antoinette, first, I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, your background, and what you love about e-commerce.
Sure. So I am a software engineering manager in e-commerce at Hanes. And our organization overall is very B2B focused, but I work on the DTC side of things. So direct to consumer, the standard website. If you want to go and buy some of our products, you go shop online.
I love Hanes. My daughters wear Hanes all the time.
Well, we have other brands too. We do Playtex, and a lot of our consumers are women. And a lot of times, even though we're producing products for men, a lot of the products are bought by women for men.
Isn't that so typical, right?
So a lot of times, women in the household are controlling 90% of the household spending, either based on, even with home improvement, it's things that they want done, or, like the vehicle purchase for the car, maybe there could be a mom and they need a way to get the kids around. And so they're the ones that are driving the minivan purchases or the larger SUV purchases, or even the truck purchases. It's really about meeting the household needs. A lot of that is, driven by the woman, in her role of leadership in the house. So e-commerce is a field that is definitely very much targeted toward women as consumers, and then also, not just women as consumers of product, women as consumers of technology, like what appeals to women when we are shopping on the site. And then on my side, women as a producer of technology. So I love what I do. I feel like I'm lucky to get to do that because code is like a safe space. You can go in there and you can do anything you want. The only limitation is the limitation you impose on yourself. You can set your own schedule. So I'm a night owl. I like to work at night. So if I want to get up in the middle of the night and get stuff done, I can. If it's like after dinner, after homework, after everything else, I can sit down and have time to myself and get done what I need to get done. So I love it for that reason. I love the flexibility of it. I love how, it sort of helps me take better care. It helps me be a better mom.
That flexibility is so important. I mean, just think about like the 9-to-5 schedule.
Right, exactly.
It was literally created by men from the Industrial Revolution way back in the day.
Right.
Why does that still have to be relevant today?
Exactly, with women doing the hard work, right? Women making it possible for the 9-to-5 schedule to even exist. Because it's not like their families didn't exist, right? Mm-hmm. They still had families in that context, but women were making it possible for that to happen. Mm-hmm. And then, women were coming into the workforce and, we're really starting to make valuable contributions. But one of the things we find is 9-to-5 doesn't work because it's very hard to get childcare early in the morning.
Yes.
Like even if you can get the 3 to 5 p.m. covered, no problem. Who's covering the 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. so you can get into the office?
So true.
So, that's another thing I love about software engineering. You can do it from home, right? I work from home. You literally anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, if you need to, let's say you have an infant, and I remember after my son was born, I went to my first business conference with him at 3 months old. So he traveled where I traveled. I was still breastfeeding. Lovely. Like I have him propped up on the table. I'm breastfeeding and writing his laptop is on top of it. So it really is something that you can do from anywhere while you take care of your kids. So I feel like even though it hasn't always been explained that way, it is a career that to me is really in line with, if you think of yourself as I have a lot of work around the house, or not that all women do. But a lot of times, the barriers to career entry or successful career for women is around time management and balancing our role as caretaker with, who we are as tough, driven professionals in the workplace.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I think, a lot's changed over the last decades when it comes to men are really taking on more of a role in the home, you know?
Absolutely.
But
right. Yeah.
the reality is, let's be honest, women still carry
Right,
most of the burden of the household and, you know, the kids and everything.
Yes.
That's just the way it is.
Right. We're
you know?
leading the way. You know, I think we're like
Yes.
the manager of the household. We're the
Yes.
coordinator. We're, you know, sort of running the show. And you know, men really do step up, and sometimes they run the show in the household, and you know, every household is different. It's about what works for you as a family.
Yeah.
But you know, in terms of like balancing, you know, they talk about work-life balance. I think that software engineering is like a perfect career for women because it has a lot of flexibility baked into it.
So, did you always know you wanted to be a software engineer when you were a kid?
No.
So how did you decide, you know what, this is what I want to do?
My dad. Well, no. So my dad was a computer engineer back before computer engineering was a thing. He had a degree in electrical engineering.
Okay.
And so I had my first computer like when I was little. I remember him writing code as a kid. I didn't even know what it was. And I think I built my first computer with my dad. Maybe I was like 10 years old or something.
So cool.
So, you know.
What a special connecting memory with your dad. Wow.
So, but I did not think that I wanted a career in technology at all.
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's degree in English literature and history.
You know what's so
I thought
funny
I wanted to be
about
a writer.
We interviewed Laura Falco last night. Literally the same thing. She's a hardcore, amazing Magento developer. And she's like, my degree was in English lit. So you majored in English lit, and then what happened?
So I worked for an organization that had a tuition reimbursement program.
Okay.
And one day, my boss, I hope he's not listening right now, but he came to me, he's like, hey, you know, you would be really good in marketing. And I was like, I don't think so.
You would be, by the way. But,
I don't think so. I'm not good at sales or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, and I was trying to find a nice way to say no. And what I said instead was, you know, I have really been thinking about taking advantage of our tuition reimbursement program in computer science. So I just don't think marketing is going to work for me.
You knew exactly what you wanted, girl.
So I knew I didn't want marketing. So then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, now I got to actually get a degree in computer science.
Very cool.
So that's what I did. And
Was it love at first code?
it was not. No.
Oh.
I think a lot of the courses are designed for like traditional path entrance. So that would be people who like, oh, they've always loved writing code, or they've always been very into computers and their whole life revolves around it. And the thing is, like, that is one way to do it. Another way to do it is just to think about what you're actually doing, which is writing instructions. And if you can write, if you can explain, if you talk to people and they understand you, you can write code.
So basically, code is communication.
It's just you're communicating to a machine what you want the machine to do. That is all it is. So if you're thinking about like a career in something or making a career shift, if you like to write instructions, like if you like look at a recipe and you can write a recipe, or you read a recipe and it's clear,
or maybe
you
even
can write
like
code.
To create a recipe, right?
Right. If you like to create recipes, or if you look at building instructions, you're like, oh yeah, I can put together this bookshelf myself. If you can do that, or if you can even like, say you're like writing out instructions for your family, like there's 20 things going on and everybody needs their own set of instructions in the household. If you can write those instructions clearly, you can write instructions for a computer. It is way easier to get a computer to do what you want it to do than it is to get a person. So if you can get a person to do what you want to do, you can get a computer to do it.
That is absolutely the truth. The people part is much harder.
Right, it is.
Wow.
So, and like the instructions have to have so much more subtlety and like thought put into it. And a computer, like you tell it what to do, just do it. Like computers are dumb. You just tell them what to do and then they do it and that's it. So,
love that. Oh my gosh. Well, what advice would you give to women who may be considering this career or maybe not even thinking about it at all? I'll be honest. I never thought about a career in software engineering.
Just do it.
Just try it.
Just do it. Like there are, and this is what I really love about the way things are shifting, is that there are so many resources. If you are like, just like, let's say you're sitting on your phone, you're scrolling through Facebook, like you're in sort of like doom scrolling mode where you're like, I'm going to scroll to the end of Facebook. I'm going to get it all. I'm, scrolling through the end of TikTok. I'm going to see every video. So set a timer.
Yeah.
scroll for 30 minutes or whatever you want to do. And then in the remaining time that you might have on your lunch break or whatever, your me time, go to a site that interests you and then try to figure out how you think it was built. Like look at, like the components on the page. So if it's a website, there's probably a big header at the top.
Yep. Always a header.
Right. There's always a header. There's going to be navigation. So think about like how you use that and how you interact with it, and understand that someone built that. That someone could have been you.
That someone could have been you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? That deserves a cookie, Antoinette. Have a cookie.
A
These
cookie
coffee's lovely.
reward.
We've got Oreo.
Oh,
We've got
this looks so
chocolate. We've got
good.
toffee.
I am going to put this on a napkin. I have a 9-year-old. So 9-year-old gets a cookie today.
Yay! So you're local here in Florida? Yeah.
Yes, I lived here for about, I guess it's been like almost 9 years.
Nice.
Yeah, my son was like 9 months.
Lovely. Well, my last question for you is, on the show Hello Moxie, we really love to celebrate women and their connection to the women in history who've inspired them, because it's so important for us to be able to look at who's gone before us and learn from their examples, right? Like if you can see it, you can be it,
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you. I love that beautiful story about your dad. That was so beautiful. Is there a woman in your, that really, when you grew up, just really inspired you, or women?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we have different levels of inspiration. My mom was always a huge inspiration to me. She started out her career as a nurse, worked as a nurse for a long time, and she wanted to get promoted. And at the time, there were no Black women at the hospital she worked with who were in advanced practice nursing at that hospital.
Wow.
They wouldn't hire them.
Wow.
And so she wanted to get promoted and was told no.
Jeez.
And so she was like, okay, well, I don't want this to stop me. So she decided to go back and get a degree in nursing anesthesia. And so that was like her pathway to success. And
It was more education.
Right, was more education. And then there was a lot that went into doing that. She was she joined the Army Reserves to help pay for it. So she was, like captain.
Wow.
But I feel like where there's a will, there's a way. And as women, like a lot of times we have to be really creative in what we do for ourselves and what we do for our family. So, that kind of taught me like, just because someone says no, you don't have to accept no for an answer. You're only limited by yourself. And, there's a way. So, so that, and then also, like other women that have accomplished, like big things. Like I think about, like this is, as a kid growing up, I've been watching like people like Madeleine Albright.
Yes.
And
incredible.
You see how like dedicated and how serious she is and how seriously she took her professional work. And so that was always kind of like an inspiration to me to be like, you know what, we can be whoever we are at home and in our personal lives, but that really is not something that limits how we have to interact in our professional world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love Madeleine Albright. I love the relationship she had with her father. I think it's so cool how much he was such a mentor to her. And it sounds like that sounds like a connection too with your own father. Your father taught you from a young age how to build a computer. And I know Madeleine Albright, she had a very close relationship with her father in the same way. And I think that's such a really cool, like full circle moment.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so. Can I give you a hug?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a pleasure. You're such a sweet person. And your story is so interesting and engaging to me.
Thank you. That's so funny. I don't think so, but that's it's just every day. But that's funny. Yeah.
It is to me, like from a professional standpoint, what I work on, I'm like listening to you talking about, overcoming some of the challenges with B2B and e-commerce and how this is like a huge area for growth. Like we think e-commerce is done. Like we think it is what it is. It's a mature industry. And it is if you're a consumer.
It is. But in the B2B space,
it's very much like the old days of e-commerce where it's the Wild Wild West, anything goes, we're still figuring it out. Yes. So you have done a lot to kind of help, crystallize like what some of the barriers are, like what's up next. Yeah. So that was great. It was great hearing you.
Yeah, it's been challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding when you're able to kind of reach over those hurdles. Yeah. And as women, when you work in a male-dominated space, like B2B e-commerce is very male-dominated. E-commerce is very male-dominated. manufacturing is very male dominated. So a lot of the times I feel like the fluffy unicorn. And let's be honest, look at my booth. We've got like pink and we've got cookies and tea. And we're surrounded by all these very masculine booths. And you know what? I'm just owning it. You know, bring on the flowers and the cookies and bring on the Moxie. So, so yeah, I just think it's so important as women that we just step into our own voices and just, you know, lean into what makes us unique and feminine, and all of that energy is so important. We have to bring that, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember when I first spoke at Meet Magento New York a couple of years ago, I was like, what do I have to say? These people here are so brilliant, very technical, and I'm a marketer, you know? And I realized that was why I needed to be there, is because nobody else was talking about these things, you know? Yeah. And I think sometimes as women, we might not recognize that your different perspective is really needed, even if you don't think it is, you know? So.
It is. And, you know, I cannot stress enough how important women are in e-commerce.
Yes.
And it's about convenience. It's about selection. And, you know, I think that these are things that people who are time conscious really value.
Yes. So important. And I mean, we could go on and on forever, but like, I also think like it's so important to recognize the allies that we've had in our careers, the male allies, because I know I've had so many male allies who have really stepped up and supported me in huge ways, you know, stepped up and invited me to be in the room in certain situations, invited me to speak, you know, like Robbie, for example, who's put on this conference, huge ally for women, you know, he invited me to speak last year at the conference and come back and do this workshop here yesterday. And those are you know, that's what women need. They need people who believe in them, that are inviting them to speak up and share their messages. And, you know, and there's been several others. Noah Okenberg is another. So, yeah. So anyway, so there's just so many examples. Have you had any male ally stories that you want to share?
You know, I have so many, you know, started with my dad, but also along the way. And I think of, people that I've worked with early in my career, someone that I reported to, Scott Ressam, he really encouraged me. He encouraged me in the field. He would we would be sitting there hours and he's like showing me step by step what he does to be successful. Yeah. So it's not like this, you know, old boys club where it's locked behind a door, like these secrets that you can't get access. He's showing me what I need to do to be successful and what he does to be successful and just teaching me so much about it.
And giving you the time.
Right, exactly. It's the time. Like he's investing that in me. Like he could have gone home, but we're sitting side by side and he's showing me, this is, you know, after I had my degree, where you think, okay, now I have a degree, I know things. No. You need you need a mentor.
Let's be honest, experience is like so like yes.
You need a mentor. And then even now, the person I currently report to, the first year I reported to him, he said to me, "You're doing good, but I need you to speak up more. I need you to talk more." So he would deliberately provide me with opportunities to make my voice heard. And that, I mean, to me, that makes all the difference. Like you need somebody that is going to just sort of open the door a little bit and like let you walk through first.
Yes, you're right. And they have to open the door. Right. They tell you that it's safe.
Right, exactly.
It's safe for you to speak up. I've got your back.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be there with you. But I believe in you. Just them saying, I want you to speak up more communicates, I believe in you and I want to hear what you have to say.
Right. And it's not follow me, do as I do. It's, you know, recognizing that you have that skill and it's okay. You can take the lead. You go through that door first. You kind of come charging through and everything you've got, you can put on the table. And he does a fantastic job. His name is John Strong. Does a fantastic job. John Strong.
John Strong, we love you.
Does a fantastic job of creating a safe space where it's okay to make a mistake. Now, there's accountability. So if you make a mistake, own up to it right away, do everything that you can to fix it. But it's not this thing where you can't have any risk or you're afraid of anything happening. He does a great job of that. He does a great job of saying, okay, the door's open. Go to it. Here's what you need to do. And I tend to be goal-oriented. And sort of he kind of
that doesn't surprise me.
He kind of like, you know, just lets me do what I need to do. There's no micromanaging. So I would say, and this is hard to do, but if you are a woman in technology and you are someplace where the environment is not supportive, find another environment.
Yes,
There
I agree.
is a way to plant yourself in the ground so that you can grow.
Absolutely. I 100% second that. I mean, that's like a moment of, we need to give that some space because as women, it just goes back to what you said earlier. We're not stuck. We can choose.
Right, exactly.
You know, we can choose our path. We can choose where we want to be. There's nothing stopping us. And if you are in a situation where you feel not safe or that you're not being heard or validated,
right,
there's another table waiting for you.
Right,
and
exactly.
You know what? You can create that table.
Absolutely, right? If you're
know?
planted in the wrong ground, you might have to dig your own trench, but you can get in there and find a place where you can grow.
And dig the trench and you will grow, right? Yeah. And I totally believe that. So love it.
Yeah.
Antoinette, thank you so much for coming on. Man, you're awesome. I'm so glad I got to connect with you. Absolutely. So tell our listeners, how can they connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn or
I am
Instagram?
on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So Antoinette Puppeteer, I'm on LinkedIn. I honestly, a lot of times, professionally, I'm like head sound coding, or like working with a team, and we're trying to get something done. So I don't necessarily spend a lot of time producing social media content. Yeah. But
you're not a marketer.
I'm not. But I just love what you're doing so much.
Oh,
and if you can bring more women in, and I'm not like the only woman, on a call or the only woman in a meeting, I'm like whatever you can do,
Well, you are such a leader, and such a leader for the people out there listening. I mean, Antoinette is just an incredible example of what's possible. If you can see it, you can be it. And
Absolutely.
You've done that,
Yes.
and I think that's incredible. So thank you for being such a light and sharing your story. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
I am sure that I will. And I also want to thank everybody who's putting this conference on.
Yes.
It's been a great experience. If you are a Magento developer, manage a Magento site, and you haven't come to a Meet Magento, just come. It's
an incredible community and so much knowledge. So
and I think that's like one of the standout things about Magento that I love so much is that there is a community around it and has been for 15 years.
Yes, it is incredible. Good people, inclusive people, open people, helpful people, collaborative people. It's like the ethos of the brand is about this democratic, really beautiful collaboration where all ideas are welcome. It's like something about open source that really just brings that out,
Right.
And you feel it just in the energy, you feel it in the communication and everything. So wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Enjoy
it's
your
been
cookie.
A pleasure.
I'll give you one more hug for the road. All right. See you later.
Ezra gets a cookie.
Yay. And you can come back for more if you want more. And did you get a tote bag with the book and everything?
Yes. I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah.
I was kind of thumbing through before.
Oh, good. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And you can find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and
absolutely.
So there's some amazing women in that book. I can't wait for you to read about them. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Okay, we're going to be right back in just a minute. Thanks, Antoinette, for joining us. We're going to go find our next guest. So just give us one more second. Hold tight. I promise more fun goodies in store for you. So stay tuned. Okay.